quick, and we should be ready. All right, guys, we are here. Welcome to the War is Coming double elimination stage. That's right. So we have progressed out of the groups, and we are now left with 16 teams who made it out of their group stages alive to progress to the double elimination stage of this tournament. And we have got some very good teams that are going to start facing up against each other now. Obviously, in the group stage, all of the top teams were split apart. You had two really strong teams in every single group, and now those teams have broken out and they are now fighting against one another. So things are about to get very awesome, and there's going to be a lot of very good games coming up in the next couple of weeks. So I'm really excited to see how this one goes. And the first set of games in the double elimination stage that we will be covering is Psy versus VN. So that's a really exciting matchup. And I mean, Team Psy, we expect to see some great things. We've seen some fantastic plays from the VN team as well. And honestly, it just does not get much better than this. VN for Vikingos Nomades, I believe. Not not very nice, as someone in the chat suggests. I did put the United Nations flag up for them because VN are a team that are made up of people from all over the world. They have some Italians, they have some Brazilians, and all sorts. So unfortunately, I couldn't get their actual team flag up in time. But yes, game number one for this best of 7. The format has changed somewhat from the group stage as well. Best of 7 now, the first to 4 wins. And the first game will be a 4v4 on the War is Coming map pack. Now, unfortunately, both teams could not get 4 players. So this first one will be played as a 3v3. And the map is Team Continental. And without further ado, we should probably do with introducing the players. I think when VN do something good, I'm just going to go very nice, and we can appreciate what they do, and we can have our own little take on their team name. What does it mean? So down to the very south of the map in the blue, we've got Mr. Yo, and he is playing as the Vikings for Team Psy. He's on that flank position right there. In the pocket position for Team Psy, we've got No23 playing in the orange as the Turks. And up to the north of the map in the red, we've got Feng Xin, or better known as VG Paladin. And he's playing as the Byzantines on this flank position. Dark Knight, though, coming forwards with a villager, and he's already starting to lame. And, I mean, game 1 of the double elimination stage, the first set we're watching, and we've got laming, of course. Why not? I don't know why it is this, but I've noticed that all of the Brazilians seem to be the lamers. Like, Fiage is the biggest lamer. Dark Knight, just going to point out, I believe, is also Brazilian. So, I'm not quite sure why that is, but hey, there you go. It must just be a Brazilian thing. As a little bit of retribution, VG Paladin Feng Xin trying to steal that ball from Dark Knight, but so far not going too well because Dark Knight walled this off, and that scout there is now perilously low on health. I have to run away, and that ball steal will not be successful. The ball there just running back. So successful laming from Dark Knight. Not so successful laming from Feng Xin, but it was a nice attempt anyway, a good attempt at coming back. So that's the Psy team for you, and they are a fantastic team. If you guys saw my top 5 video for 2014, Mr. Yo was up there in the top 5 players for me in 2014, and we'll keep an eye on him in the blue here at the south of the map. Now for Team VN at the far east, I guess we could say, is Robert Stinson. I always say Robert Stinson for some reason, but I've been corrected. It is Robert Stinson, and he is in the purple as the Turks. In the pocket position for their team, we've got in the yellow VN Moonite playing as the Vikings, and I think this is Milo. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure this is Milo. Milo is an awesome guy. He's so friendly. We used to chat loads, and I'm pretty sure this is him, just because of that nickname. I might be wrong. Correct me if I am wrong in the chat. Up to the very north of the map then, finally, for the VN team, we've got Dark Knight in the green, and he is playing as the Byzantines. So yeah, this set is a best of 7. It's no longer just 5 games. The set could end at 4, 5, 6, or 7 games. It's the first to 4 wins, and we will see a variety of different maps and different settings. The settings for this one was actually team random with the civs. So it's completely random, the civilizations, the Byzantines, the Vikings, and the Turks, but they have been mirrored across from, so both teams have the same civs. The Vikings here, definitely going to be a good pick for that water supremacy. There is a lot of water on this map, and Team Continental does have very large lakes around the edge, or very large bodies of water around the edge of the map, so it's definitely worthwhile fishing for them, and the team that gets the fishing is generally going to be the team with the advantage, and of course being able to block off these choke points by holding water control. But we've seen many times in the past that getting onto the center is really where this game is won on this map. Usually, generally speaking, the people to take the center are going to win it, simply because there is a lot of gold on there, a lot of wood as well, which does actually run out eventually on these side islands. So it's really valuable for both teams to have center control. And in fact, already Feng Xin going to start walling that up, and I think that's obviously because his main gold has been walled by Dark Knight, so he's been forced into the center already. Just a couple of palisades there should keep him nice and safe, and you know what? He might even pick up a couple of sheep here, and I am tempted to say that No23's map was actually bugged. 2 of his sheep appear to be over here, which could be a little bit... It's a little bit weird. I would say that was bugged, but No23 didn't realize until too late. So Feudal Age coming in for most players right now. Obviously, most players are going to be aiming to get up as quickly as they can. No23, however, 35 population. He's still in the Dark Age, and it looks like he will be looking for that fast castle there. But either way, the galley rushing on the flanks is about to come in. Mr. Yo on this right flank, playing as the Vikings, and he's going to be up against the Turks from Robert Stinson. But VN Moonite Milo, I do believe, is very close as well. So these guys are pretty close together. So even though the Viking player is in the pocket for VN, he's pretty close to this right flank anyway. Dark Knight must be pretty comfortable with his ability to grush, because he's just on his own over here on the left. Now for VN, it looks like all 3 of them are going to be grushing here at a glance. In fact, I may be wrong. It does seem like Robert Stinson is a little bit slower up to feudal. In fact, yeah, 32 population for him. So perhaps, yeah, I'm incorrect, and it will actually be 2 of the Psy guys versus 2 of the VN guys on the water. Both No23 and Robert Stinson, both Turks, are actually delaying their feudal age here. 32 population for Robert Stinson and 40 population for No23. He's gone up on 40 population. That is a hell of a lot, actually. Like, wow, that's unexpectedly large. What's he got here? 39 villagers, well, fishing ships and otherwise. So quite a few fishers back here, and that's really quite something. But if he fast castles this and starts popping out some janissaries and castles in the middle, then that's going to be really valuable to his team. I swear, sometimes I just forget how to talk, and it's not good. It's not good at all. So Mr. Yo seems to be on the aggressive on this right side. He's got those galleys out. He is looking for some fishing ships, of course. Robert Stinson, bear in mind, both Turk players here, fast castling, he does not have as many fishing ships. He's got up with 5 compared to the about, well, 10, I'd say, of No23. So definitely worth noting that. And also, we've got VN on the defensive here, it would seem. On the left side, Dark Knight sticking outside of his docks because he's playing quite defensively there. And I'm a little bit concerned that Robert Stinson is not going to be able to hold the center too well if No 23 has such a huge economy in comparison. That 41 eco units is pretty huge. He's going up to castle right now, and you know what, I don't even have the game time on. What is this? 14 minutes for No 23. Robert Stinson had got the edge on him, 14 minutes and 30, and he's already 40% up, but he's only going up on 34 villagers. Whereas No 23 is going up on 41. No 23, we'll see if he's taking any stone. In fact, he's not. And I'm interested to see what he's going to do here. Robert Stinson taking stone pretty early on. Looks like he will be getting a castle up in the center as fast as he can. Meanwhile, the water is just up in the air at the moment, I suppose you could say. No one really losing any too many fishing ships or anything like that, but we got battles going on both flanks. Dark Knight does not have fletching yet. Feng Xin, good old VG Paladin, is already +1, fletching done, and he's got a couple of roaming galleys at the back to try and pick off some fishing ships as well. On this right side, Mr. Yo's going to get caught out, and it looks like Milo doesn't even have fletching yet either. The VN team seemingly quite slow getting their fletching up, and that definitely was not the case with Sai very quick to get fletching sorted out. So Robert Stinson's up to castle. Meanwhile, on the left flank, Dark Knight getting that fletching upgrade, and those guys battling it out. And, well, looks like Dark Knight's going to have to go back. I would say they were pretty close on numbers. We can check. 10 galleys for Dark Knight versus the 13 for Feng Xin, but 2 of them are back here quite weak, trying to take down his ships. And Dark Knight now forced to retreat to try and keep his fishing ships nice and safe. So there's Robert Stinson in the center of the map, sticking up that castle. Monastery going up there as well for him. Of course, there is an abundance of gold on this map, so taking the gold, making monks, it's a good idea, and you have a fantastic 9 range on a monk as well, so they are able to stop any knights getting close. They're able to even convert those long-range janissaries if they're coming out onto the map, and for Robert Stinson, that castle could be a pretty big play for his team. No 23, though, I really want to check out what he's doing here. It's a little strange. He's not taking any stone, and he's actually bringing out some knights. So, aiming to knight rush the center, it's an interesting decision because obviously we know Robert Stinson's already got the monastery up. No 23 sees that monastery as well, so he knows what is up here, and there's the monk already popping out there. Monks are going to trump knights, and with this wall-off coming up already for Robert Stinson, he's going to be able to keep those villagers nice and safe, and that castle will lock down that area as well. Those knights immediately changing pace, changing direction, and Robert Stinson here trying to wall himself up to prevent those knights getting through. Looks like he's going to be absolutely successful at doing that. Milo and Dark Knight walled with stone as well, so those knights will not be getting through anytime soon. Meanwhile, on the water, it's still looking pretty stale-matey. Yar, matey. It's looking very stale-matey, and no one's really getting a huge upper hand here. Feng Xin has got a couple more galleys on the water, but it's going to come down to the castle age, I think, to decide who gets the water. Really, though, the center is where it's going to be at, but of course, Stonewall's coming up for pretty much everybody into the center, I feel. Yeah, Feng Xin as well with the stone walls here to make sure he is nice and protected. We have actually got a transport, though, from Mr. Yo, and it looks like he wants to transport those knights around the walls. It's a fantastic idea, and, well, it might have cost him a little bit, though, because 27 galleys on the water for Milo now, only 17 for Mr. Yo, so this advantage is going to go to Milo, I would feel. You know, he's got to bring some more galleys in, but it should be his advantage there on the water, on the flank, but this transport from Mr. Yo is going to be fantastic. Robert Stinson, of course, his economy very undefended back at home, not expecting those knights to get in. And that's really going to catch him off guard, going to hurt his eco, and probably slow down his grip on the center. He is walling up these stables, though. And I think that is going to be a huge play for these guys. That's a waste of a lot of wood for No 23. And honestly, those knights now in Robert Stinson's base. He has got nothing on that at all. So they are going to get quite a few villager kills, at least 3 or 4, before they get back to that town center, I would assume. And these knights +2 defense as well, so they can sit under that town center, the TC, with absolutely no attack upgrades at all. And they're going to do some serious damage in here. 3 villagers already going down, and those knights are looking for more as well. So fantastic stuff by Robert Stinson, and you gotta love it. You gotta love it. On the center though, Robert Stinson as well. I mean, fantastic stuff for No 23, but Robert Stinson looking good here as well, bringing in the petards. Never go full petard, but 2 petards, that's absolutely fine. Gonna bust away through that hole, gonna get himself in, and we got a Wallolo as well there. Thank you very much, Sabeka, for becoming a Wallolo Warlord. Very much appreciated, man. Thank you for subscribing and supporting the stream. I don't know if that came up on the screen though, unfortunately, but the Wallolo happened, so just bear with me until I can fix that. But yeah, Robert Stinson breaking his way through with the petards, and just as he was caught with his pants down, he has now caught Mr. Yo in a similar position, forcing him away from that gold. Coming through into his eco, he's got the monks at the standby, at the ready as well, to convert some of those villagers. And it's looking pretty good for Robert Stinson in here. Mr. Yo's eco severely hurt, and Mr. Yo now up to the Castle Age, looking pretty menacing on the water. But if his economy is hurt, and he is unable to produce too many more galleons, or war galleys even, then Milo might just get an advantage once he gets those upgrades on his galleys. He's just reached the Castle Age as well. However, No 23, his 4 knights are now in the eco of Milo, and my goodness me, those knights have done so much damage. Having a quick look at that military tab, if I could bloody land on it, there we go. 8 kills already for No 23, and that's 8 villagers on the other team. Really not too bad. Robert Stinson's managed to kill 3 villagers, or at least convert 3 at the very least, and he's going to look to get some more as well, getting a little close to that town center there. This game really quite back and forth, and definitely very enjoyable so far. But on the north of the map, it does seem like the side team are getting the advantage on the water there. Feng Xin, Paladin, managing to win the water from Dark Knight. And as a result, Dark Knight is getting his eco harassed from that shoreline, and that's not nice at all. Not at all. He has got a couple of ATC coming up in the center of the map though, and obviously the center control at the moment is firmly with VN. The water, however, does seem to be swinging into Sai's favor. And these knights now coming through to break down the walls of Dark Knight, trying to get in and do some more eco damage. Dark Knight going to try and quick wall this up. Feng Xin's at the shore. He could kill those villagers so easily. But my goodness me, he just walked straight by that, or sailed, I guess you could say, straight by that. Feng Xin, Dark Knight going to be absolutely safe for now from those knights. But he's in a little bit of a prickly situation. Whilst over at Mr. Yo's base, we've got a forward siege workshop from Robert Stinson, and this aggressive play is just fantastic. Just doing so much damage over here. It's awesome to see. Really, really well done. We've also got Milo now pushing back on the water on this right side. He's got 35 military units compared to the 19 of Mr. Yo. Mr. Yo just does not have what it takes on the water, and it's not surprising. You know, he's gone up with 4 TCs now, 3 new town centers, and he's in a little bit of a bad spot. He's been pushed away from most of his wood. He's had to relocate, and that obviously has cost him quite a bit of time. We got knights coming in from No 23 though. Will the conversions from Robert Stinson come in? I think 2 will go off at least. 1, 2, come on. No way! Are you kidding me? That was so unlucky. Those monks had loads of time for conversions there, but it just did not happen. Really unexpected. I honestly thought that would have been 2 conversions at the least, but No 23 closed the gap, focused down the monks, and the conversions did not happen. And as quickly as Robert Stinson's attack prevailed, it was very quickly shut down again. This knight here going to finish off the battering ram, of course, and there's nothing left in here from Robert Stinson. So it was a really, really nice attack, and I just don't understand how those monks didn't manage to get a single conversion there. Rather a little bit disappointing. But hey, Sai at the moment looking really nice, I gotta say. They've got a lot of water control, they're doing a lot of eco damage, they've done very good harassment onto the villagers of the VN team, and although VN were first to get onto the land, they've not managed to hold it, and in fact No 23 now on the way up to the Imperial Age. He's got himself a castle up here, and these guys have got a little bit of a hold on the center as well. Also up to the Imperial Age, we've got Robert Stinson, everybody else's castle, but No 23 has the advantage up to Imp right now. And that, of course, is going to mean Trebs coming out a little bit faster, taking down those opposing castles. And unfortunately for Dark Knight, that Mangonel is not going to be useful at all in this situation. So far, Sai are doing a great job. They've taken that water pretty well. And although, actually saying that, Milo's at the back here with the war galleys. But honestly, those knights that landed across and did so much eco damage, that was huge. And that definitely brought Sai into the lead. Robert Stinson hitting right back at Mr. Yo was fantastic. It's definitely caused them to have a little bit of a drop off on the water, with Milo able to get an advantage on that right side due to Mr. Yo just not having the resources there. But hey, Mr. Yo now sending resources to No 23. No 23 going to be a huge powerhouse in the late game, provided that he has gold, and that is exactly what he has got at the moment. 1,000 gold in the bank. He just got sent another bunch of stone as well, and those Trebs are coming straight out. No time to waste. Got to get them out, got to take those castles down, or take that single castle down. And with that castle going down, it might very well be that Sai will claim the center island and hold the game from there. Difficult to say for sure, but it could certainly go that way. Now VN Moonite, Milo going to run into Feng Zin's war galleys, and although they're about evenly matched, we've got Mr. Yo coming in from behind. Mr. Yo now adopting a slinging position entirely. It's not unusual to see the Vikings sling, and he's slinging everything he's got to No 23. Meanwhile on the water, VN, their pretty much only hope for winning the water, is now being crushed between Yo and Feng Zin, and unfortunately he is not going to get out of there with a victory. Robert Stinson now up to Imp though, but that castle is already on the way down. More castles coming up as well. 3 castles now standing for No 23, and so far looking so good. A couple of monks here and there as well. Yeah, a 4th castle now going up on that left side, and if that castle falls for Robert Stinson, he's not going to have too much military production. But Dark Knight though, also now up to the Imperial Age. Unfortunately, cataphracts don't really work too well against Janissaries, because Janissaries do pierce damage, and cataphracts die pretty quickly to pierce attacks. But Dark Knight here does not have a castle anyway, and in fact, looking at his eco, no signs of what he plans to do here at all. I see a couple of siege workshops, but other than that, not a lot, and we may see him like go for some skirmishes or something just to support the Janissaries here, because let's be honest, it might not be too viable for him to do a whole lot else against the Turks. I mean, they are insanely good at range, and with the Byzantines, Arbalest, I suppose they could do Arbalest, but again, they're not going to be amazing here, simply because of the lack of upgrades. So anyway, Robert Stinson coming forwards, he's got his bombard cannons, but a lot more Trebs on the side. Of course, bombard cannons are fantastic for taking out trebuchets. They really do a good job, and that Treb gonna fall right there. But that castle already down for Robert Stinson, and the hold on the center for Sai looks very promising at the moment. We've got Mr. Yo coming in now with those war galleys to just try and harass Dark Knight a little bit more, and Dark Knight must be fed up with this. I mean, he's had galleys all the way around his eco for the most part of the game now, and now he's got them outside of his second eco in the center of the map as well. So unfortunately for Dark Knight, looking pretty bad over there. On this right side as well, Mr. Yo's fully walled up. He's absolutely fine behind his stone walls even. And Robert Stinson, he's managing so far to keep his Janissaries alive, which is really quite good. But He's still got to be careful. But you know what? Actually, looking at this, there's not a lot here for No 23. I mean, he made a ton of trebuchets, but they've been dealt with by those bombard cannons pretty quickly, pretty swiftly. And looking at it, Dark Knight, with those rams, there was very little to stop him bringing those in. Of course, No 23 just making a couple of hussars just to quickly get rid of them. But, I mean, he's lost no castles so far, but they are all burning. Not all of them, most of them burning. And these bombard cannons now +2 range due to the Turks' unique technology. And Robert Stinson might look like he can push this back, judging by the way things are going so far. Like I say, he's kept his Janissaries alive, he's kept his hand cannons alive for now, and that's good news. Taking out another bombard cannon, and Robert Stinson looking reasonable. But with Sai having the water, it gives them control of these choke points, and that's allowing No 23 to come up here into Dark Knight's eco and basically raid the hell out of it. Milo, meanwhile, as the Vikings, most likely slinging, I imagine, but the water is all lost right now for the VN team. And whilst this game is all about who controls the center at the end of it, the water is a really important part of deciding who gets the center. So obviously here, going to be difficult for Dark Knight to run any units across. And yeah, I think, to be honest with you, Sai should have the advantage. Now, even though they seem like they should have the advantage, No 23 is not really pushing it at the moment. Feng Xin as well. Paladin not really pushing it at the moment, and a few more military units from these guys will be very, very good. Feng Xin, in fact, going for some cataphracts, which I think is a strange choice, but nevertheless, he's going for just that. And at the south of the map, No 23 going for some cavalier now, and I mean, this is a really deathbally army from Robert Stinson. There's a lot of really powerful units here. Hand cannons, Janissaries really do pack a hell of a punch, but once those lines have been broken, I think No 23 should be able to push it back. But I don't know. I mean, they're looking a little bit precarious right now. That castle just fell, and there's 2 left out of the 4 initially. Feng Xin just sticking up another one, but if he's not careful, he might lose that, as these hussars are coming through from Robert Stinson. And this is the thing. I mean, the Sai team, they should have what it takes. I mean, they've got full water control. They've got Mr. Yo slinging them, but there's just very little army here. Very little army. And Robert Stinson, although he lost that castle really early on, it looks like he would have lost the center. He is really doing very good at pushing forwards here. So Feng Xin now up to Imperial, and it'll take him quite some time, but there you go. Finally getting up to Imp. No army, so to speak of, though. His castle has been lost, and there is now just 1 castle left from No 23 out of the initial 4. These siege workshops going down, and at the moment No 23 just making as many hussars and cavalry as he possibly can, trying to get the upgrades on there as well. He's got +4 defense, which is good, but it's not enough to save this castle at the moment, I don't think. Is that castle going to come down? The units coming out, trying to stay out of the way for now until there's enough of them. And the way that Sai want to play this is basically stall and stall and stall and stall until they have enough to overwhelm this entire army. Because if they go at it with a few units at a time, they will not be able to stop it. But there you go, yet another castle down. And Robert Stinson's coming through like a wrecking ball at the moment. Those rams, though, being taken out by the cataphracts of Paladin pretty quickly. Unfortunately, they are going to be lost. But, oh wow, maybe not. Like I was saying earlier, I still don't understand why he would go for cataphracts here. They really don't stack up against Janissaries and hand cannons, but hey-ho. But anyway, at the back here, we got No 23 trying to do some damage into the eco of these guys taking the goal. And to be honest with you, they still don't have that much of a grasp on the middle because the water is still in the hands of Sai. But yeah, I think No 23 was just trying to hold out and hold out. But of course, now we've got heavy camels coming out for Robert Stinson here, and he is putting up a fantastic fight on this center island. Sai might be completely pushed off in just a matter of minutes, as No 23 I mean, he doesn't even have a mining camp here. He's not even got a town center anymore. There's no castles left. They've just been cut to bits, which is really quite something. Those heavy camels from Robert Stinson, a fantastic choice of unit, given the fact that No 23 is going for Cavalier, and they are the perfect counter to that. So No 23 is sinking a lot of resources into the Cavalier there for absolutely nothing at the end of it, and now No 23 running away. I honestly would not have expected that. Meanwhile, though, other stuff has been going on, and in fact, look at this. Dark Knight's economy is gone. He's down to 10 population. Holy crap, I didn't even notice that. So, meanwhile, you know, I saw here Dark Knight's rams. They had like, what, 8 or 9 rams pushing forwards. I was like, yeah, he must be doing fine. He's making rams. He's really contributing to this fight. But actually, he's got 11 population. 6 of which are siege rams, and he's still doing work, but his eco it's gone. Obviously, No 23 clearing up in here. Feng's in now coming forwards to build the TC, and there's no villagers in sight. Oh, there's one lonely villager. Just she's seeing some shit. Like, her entire empire has fallen around her, and she's just still farming away. But yeah, one lonely villager over there, and a couple over here, but not a lot of eco for Dark Knight. So Dark Knight, I mean, is effectively out of the game, whilst all of the Psy guys are, you know, sitting at home looking absolutely fine for now. Their walls have not been breached yet. And I say yet because Robert Stinson, Dark Knight, turning their attention to Mr. Yo's front wall here, looking for a way through. And in fact, over here, No 23 could be wide open, actually. No stone walls blocking the entrance of Robert Stinson. He can just blast his way through this barracks. 17 attack damage on the Janissaries and hand cannons. They are some beefy units, and that barracks is down. I mean, well, the bombard cannons did enough damage there, but Feng's in now, coming through with paladins at the back. He needs to focus down on these guys, otherwise No 23's base is going to be razed in an instant. But paladins coming through, and these guys trying to push back, it would seem. A lot of siege rams from Paladin as well. But with Dark Knight being out of the game now, with raiding going on in Milo's economy from these Cavalier, it still seems like this could really go either way. The center seems like VN should have it, but Psy pushing it right back again, and those paladins now coming down here to help out versus Robert Stinson and help out No 23. He's trying to defend. The siege rams here are a really great choice, actually, because they do soak up a lot of that cannon fire. Getting in there, looking to do some big damage, and look at that, they get blasted. They get blasted, but they don't last for too long. The siege rams taking down the bombard cannons as well, and this is looking pretty interesting. The siege rams are literally just chasing down the bombard cannons at the moment, but they are able to tank a hell of a lot of damage. And meanwhile, even Feng's in just trying to help defend. But heavy camels from Robert Stinson, it's just a perfect unit. They are so good. They really are. So unfortunately, Mr. Yo is being raised by these 5 or 6 siege rams that Dark Knight has brought through. And like I say, this game is pretty much all over the place at the moment. Milo's eco is reduced to really nothing. Robert Stinson, though, at 200 population right now, he's maxed out. And I mean, this Turkish force, it's just this one death ball that is moving across the map, killing everything in its side, and just doing some serious damage. Overall, though, Psy do have the population advantage. Feng Zin's on 180, Mr. Yo's on 165, and No 23 is on 90. Robert Stinson's on 200, but Dark Knight's on 10, and Milo is on 70. There's not a huge amount of population floating around for VN at the moment, but they just don't have what it's the capacity, it seems, here. Interestingly enough, actually, we've got Mr. Yo doing trade cogs, which you just never see, but look at that, trading with the trade cogs there, getting a total of 35 gold per trip. It's not too bad, but oh, wow, wait, no, he might be getting more, actually. Let's check. He's getting 46 gold per trip. And actually, that's unusual. You don't expect to see trade cogs, because you almost just assume that you're going to see the land trade route. But the trade cogs is pretty genius, actually, because the land is so perilous. I mean, these gunpowder units sitting in your trade line is going to put an end to everything. They are still, however, going to put an end to the trade cogs from that little peninsula. That is some serious firepower right there. And those trade cogs getting brought down very, very quickly by those units on the shore. Even the camels and the hussars want a pop at this. On the center, we've still got Feng Xin pushing back on. He's regained a little bit of ground. He's got a castle up there, a siege workshop coming up, and we got some TCs up for Mr. Yo as well. These guys now trying to push this down, these castles down from Robert Stinson. Robert Stinson is having one hell of a game, I'm telling you. I mean, let's just have a quick look at his kill to death ratio very quickly. 300 units killed, 127 lost from Robert Stinson right now as he continues to pick away at those trade cogs. My goodness, that hurts to watch. It really does. But hey, water control is still in favor of Sai, so I guess it makes sense they'd want to do that. So, Dark Knight trying to get himself back into the game a little bit where he can. He's up to 12 population now, trying to rebuild his economy, but it's in danger. Every time he tries to rebuild, there's some other Sai guy trying to kill him off. And this time it's Feng Xin as he brings his siege rams down to the south here to try and take down these TCs and such. Those heavy camels, though, from Robert Stinson doing some serious work. Obviously, elite skirmishes, not so great against the camels here, simply because the camels get in there and disrupt their ranks, meaning that they can't even attack. And so far, Robert Stinson just holding strong in this center island. And you know what? I think VN could end up taking this game. We will see, I guess. No 23 coming in. He wants to put an end to the tyranny of these gunpowder units, coming in to surround them with hussars and cavalier. Will they survive? Well, you know what? They might. We will see. Obviously, there's a few heavy camels in there, but they really are surrounded. They want to be backed into a corner more than anything, but they are still holding out. And those units from No 23 are crumbling away. I do think, though, that they seem to be getting the upper hand overall. Mr. Yo bringing in some pikemen here as well for good measure. And finally, Robert Stinson has been brought to an end, it would seem. These units inside of No 23's economy being brought down. There's just 2 remaining, or 3 remaining. And my goodness me, that was some serious damage from Robert Stinson. Let's just recap that real quick. He broke in through here. He came into this section of No 23's eco. He killed a ton of villagers. He moved to the shoreline, killed a bunch more villagers over here. He took down a couple of TCs over here. He came and stood at the shore and killed off a ton of trade cogs. And now he's back in the middle, killing stuff there as well. These heavy camels here being very effective. And pitched against those, what are they called? The halberdier from Feng Xin. And even now the pikeman from Mr. Yo as well. So on this left side, it looks like No 23 trying to rebuild a little over there. He's trying to get himself back into this game, trying to drag himself back up. Meanwhile, Mr. Yo hanging around with his transport ship. Not sure where he's going with that. But yeah, trying to fortify wall himself up, prevent any more harassment coming into his eco. But these guys still have water control, and they can still do quite a bit with that. Like I say, I mean, they were trading on the water, which is something you don't normally see. And now they're ferrying villagers around as well, which again, I don't know where we're going. They want to go over here to the back of the map to build some back stables. In fact, No 23 building some hussars into the economy of Robert Stinson, and GG is called for VN. VN just giving it up right there. I think Feng Xin's comeback on the middle was really what turned that around, and of course No 23's defeat of Robert Stinson's main army here as well. The Turk army is really expensive. The Janissaries, the hand cannons, all those gunpowder units, the bombard cannons, they cost a lot of gold, they cost a lot of resources, and after Robert Stinson lost a lot of that, he was on 200 population, but he was down to 129 population in the end. His economy was being raided by No 23. That's stable at the back there, pumping out plenty of hussars into Robber Stinson's eco, which was fantastic. Meanwhile, the eco of VN, Moon Knight, and Dark Knight, as we know, was already being taken out. That was dealt with pretty early on, and these guys were just clinging on to the center. Milo, Moon Knight here, not much population left in the end at all, 60. Dark Knight on 18, trying to just rebuild in the center here. And because they'd lost their home islands, there was nowhere for them to run back to, in a sense. And that was it. Kind of crushed between a rock and a hard place, with Feng Xin bearing down on them. Robert Stinson, their only real hope in that game at the end. And even he was taking a little bit of a beating at the back of the map. So well played to Sai. And honestly, that game was fantastic. It was kind of very back and forth. VN pushed Sai right off that center island, and I thought at that point that was the comeback from them, but Sai brought it right back again, and just very well played. But we'll go to game number 2 now in just a second. I'm going to put that point on the board for